Hi, today we're going to mess with the Make Noise sound hack, Mimeophon. Introduction. So the Mimeophon is, if we're talking from about 10,000 feet here, a delay. Like the verb before it, it's modeless, meaning that we just turn dials and stuff happens. It's very immediate. We can go from 2 millisecond super zingy, coupler strongy things, all the way up to 41 second Alvin Lucia, who is sitting in a room different to the one you are now, sound on sound looping. The weird thing for a delay is that it's kind of a reverb as well, because using this halo control, we can smear the delays. It squidges their edges and it sounds like reverb. So for me, thematically, this thing definitely is both a kind of reverb and definitely a delay. So much so that in my current case, I've actually taken the verb out, but I love the verb and it will pair beautifully with this. As you can see, these little white holes are modulation inputs. We have beaucoup de modulation inputs so that you can modulate the Mimeophon and make it do all manner of bananas or subtly animated interesting things. And what I've particularly come to enjoy about the Mimeophon is its ability to go from straight up quality delay to blissy hyperambient background dub pad bed thing. And you can do that in just a few quick twists. I don't know another delay that lets you do that. So it's half a delay, half a reverb, half a pad machine. Weird. And from a company, it would be fair to say, who have some somewhat esoteric modules, this one is crazy easy to understand. So let's look at the panel. Panel overview. So, the panel. At the top left, you have stereo inputs. If you only have a mono signal, that is fine. You plug it into the left and it is copied to the right and you get proper, lovely, juicy stereo output. To the right of this is the mix control. That's from dry to wet. And you will note the mix control has a socket for modulation. There are a number of sockets for modulation, including at the bottom. These are inputs so that you can modulate various things on and off that we'll come to. So let's run signal. That's the dry signal. That's the delayed signal. And the dry signal. Repeats is the amount of repeats from 1 to infinity. Nice. Now, below this is the zone control, and the zone is like a kind of master sort of rate. If we put the zone all the way to the left, we get the kind of zingy coupler strong territory, and if we go all the way to the right, we get crazy Alvin Lucia territory. Note that the buffer is opened up or truncated accordingly. There is no dive bomb kind of pitch shifting sound when you change zone, but there is when you change rate. So the rate is obviously the rate of the delay, dependent on the zone. So long zones have very long ranges, again up to 41 seconds. And interestingly, there's this little grill down here And that actually reflects a color to show you which kind of zone you are in. I don't know why that's not there, but it's there. So in this way you can navigate the kind of zingy world, and you can do so without pushing buttons. There's no stepping between those parameters. You just turn dials and freely go to them. Sweet. Down here we have an input for clock. So you can clock this. That then becomes a divider and multiplier, of course. This, interestingly, is a clock output, so you can use the Mimeophon as a master clock based on the rate that it's running at. Flip, reverse. Flip is reverse. So you could say that if you put the thing down there, you flip and reverse it. Hold. Holds what is in the buffer. And you can start to interact with all those controls. So you can hold things, change the settings and unhold. So then, halo. Halo is a reverb. It drenches your delay in reverb. Which is rad. And then color is the color of the repeats. But it's happening post-delay. So you can always go murky and then brighten back. You don't ruin your delays by applying color. All of these things are sort of flexible. A couple more things. Skew skews the rates into two different rates, one for the left and one for the right. So this becomes like an offset. So we can skew the delay times fun. Of course, if you've clocked it, these become clocked as well. Then lastly, yes, you've got your modulation inputs, but there's a weird one. Mu. What's that? That's like a sort of micro adjuster for rate. It's basically a fine control, so you can get kind of jiggly things happening. And if I put a slightly jiggly signal into it, you'll hear it jigglifies the delays. And that's true of all of this stuff. I mean, there's plenty of modulation inputs. If you're clever, you can wire up all manner of things with the Mimeophon, like where you have things effectively being captured, held, skewed, micro-jiggled, retimed. You can automate the application of reverb, you can automate the repeats, and you can automate the mix from wet to dry. So, hey, there's a lot of things, you know? Right, more examples. Sound example 1. Many melodies from one note. Okay, in this example, something that I've really enjoyed doing is just feeding a super simple sequence, in this case, just 2 notes, into the Mimeophon, and then basically increasing the repeats so that you get a kind of call and response. Some halo. Really nice. And then change the melody on the sequencer. And then change the rate to change the rhythm. You do get compounded noise because you're doing analog sound on sound, but you can use color just to roll off some of the high frequencies to get rid of the fuzz. Personally, I don't mind a bit of fuzz. And then you can modulate. Nice. Nice. That's mimeophoning the percussion. And then let's skew. Always sounds good. Bass. Sound example 2. Zingy thingy. In this example, I'm going to use short repeats to create a kind of zingy sort of flangey thing, which is something I've been using a lot on hats. This is dark, but we can brighten it. We lower the repeats, you get less stuff. More halo. Yeah. And then we can go tighter. then to modulate. Nuts. Okay, now the Octo controller is going to modulate the micro input. And you get weird squidge. Wow. But we have the skew control. Let's engage it. And you get mad stereo. Yeah. Full Kraftwerk vibes. Yeah. I'm twiddling the modulation as well, the trim, because you want to modulate the amount you send to this just a little. Goes a long way. Ace badges. Sound example 3. The heart of the matter. So I said before that the Mimeophon excels at this kind of weird interchange between delay and reverb, and padmachine was kind of the phrase that I used, and I want to show you what I mean by that. This is basically what I've been doing with the Mimeophon mainly. Which is to say, delaying a couple of elements or just one element so with a very simple arrangement you can then pad out the background and use this almost like a kind of accent and effect. You get a really lovely call and response because you can smear the delays as well. They bed into the background, and then you can do so even more so by colouring them, darkening them. That's with a little bit of wobble. Yeah. I hope you've enjoyed this sweet peek into the sound hack Mimeophon. If you want to experience more Mimeophonage, because I've been using this in my live system, I've got a bunch of videos which are big, long, half-hour, hour-long, and more live sets featuring the Mimeophon as pretty much my exclusive effect, bar a couple of other little bits and bobs. I will link them below. Check them out. And of course, do the beautiful things like subscribing if you don't, or indeed supporting me on Patreon like a beautiful, beautiful human. I thank you very much. We'll see you next time. Bye.